The Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit is the only bomber in the U.S. arsenal that combines stealth technology with long-range capability and a payload of 20 tons of either conventional or nuclear ordnance. This is 5 things you don't know about the B-2 bomber. With a range of 6,000 nautical miles unrefueled and over 10,000 nautical miles with just a single mid-air refueling, the B-2 can be over any point on the globe within hours. But because the B-2 fleet is stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, the typical combat mission usually requires more than 30 hours of flight time for the 2-person crew. As a part of Operation Enduring Freedom, the B-2 flew the longest combat sortie in its history, a record 44.3 hours. The mission, which was flown during the opening weeks of the bombing campaign, involved a flight from Whiteman to Afghanistan and back.
Yeah, I already got one level. Oh, okay. And if you're not going to roll it over 30, we're going to.
The B-2's bat-like flying wing design is actually more efficient than a conventional aircraft. Instead of having 2 wings that work to support the weight of a fuselage, the entire plane is an airfoil that generates lift and reduces drag. But the flying wing shape presented several problems, the most significant of which was stabilization. In the early 1980s, advances in computer technology finally made it possible to stabilize the flying wing. And Northrop Grumman therefore began building the B-2 with a sophisticated fly-by-wire system. Instead of the pilot making all manual adjustments to the flight controls, a computer is used to compensate for the inherently unstable flight characteristics of the design. In other words, the pilot provides the control input and the computer does the rest. The B-2 stealth capability is achieved through a combination of design elements. The body of the aircraft is built of a composite material specially designed to absorb radio energy, while parts of the airframe, like the leading edge, are covered in radio-absorbent paint and tape, the exact details of which remain classified. Additionally, the engines are buried inside the aircraft to dampen noise, and exhaust passes through cooling vents, which reduces the infrared signature. For the pilots, all this stealth means unique challenges when they're flying in friendly skies. Immediately upon departing Whiteman, they must remain in constant contact with civilian air traffic control because they're in danger of mid-air collision with commercial aircraft that can't see them. Perhaps ironically, the only major damage so far has originated from the unexpected side effects of the aircraft's own stealth capabilities. On February 23, 2008, a B-2 crashed during takeoff from Andersen Air Force Base on Guam in the Pacific. The cause of the crash was later determined to be tropical moisture affecting the sensors that calibrate altitude and airspeed. It had a hull value of $1.4 billion, making it the most expensive crash in U.S. Air Force history. 2 years later, another B-2 was almost lost to an engine fire. Because the engines are buried inside the airframe, crews could not easily access them to put out the flames. Although the aircraft was heavily damaged, it was able to be saved. In July 1989, Bruce J. Hines, the chief test pilot for the Advanced Technology Bomber program, was the first person to fly a B-2 bomber. Since then, just under 600 people have flown in B-2 bombers. The total number of actual qualified B-2 bomber pilots, though, is significantly lower than that. Although that number remains classified, we do know that more people have traveled into outer space than have flown a B-2 bomber, making the B-2 Bomber Corps the most elite flying corps in the world. Although there won't be any more of them rolling off the Northrop Grumman assembly line, the current fleet of B-2s is expected to continue to serve for at least 2 more decades. Of the 21 B-2s that were built, all but 2 were named after U.S. states. Do you know the names of those 2 bombers? And do you know why they were different? If so, share your answer online or reach out to us on Twitter with hashtag 5thingsyouDon'tKnow.